So get your marching shoes on. We're gonna get going in about 2 minutes here, and it's about a 10-block walk. Some of y'all know where we're headed, and what the idea is that there's the state, the city, Hennepin County, and then there's the park board. The state, Governor Walz, hadn't done anything. Governor Walz has done nothing.
Garbage.
The city, you can kind of tell from the press conference that Fry already gave, not a lot of anything. Hennepin County, from my one-on-ones with some of them, there's some good folks there. However, they do not have the budget. There are 9,000 accounted for unhoused folks in Hennepin County. Guess how many homeless access team members they have for Hennepin County? They got 9. They got 1 homeless access team member per every 1,000 unhoused folks in Hennepin County. That's almost similar to school counselors in the Minneapolis public schools. The money's going in the wrong direction. It's going in the absolute wrong direction. You get down to Minneapolis Park Board, these people feel that they ain't got nothing to do with it. They don't need to do anything. These are our parks. These folks can't be here. But this is something that you need to go back to your dinner tables with. Because a lot of folks that were chanting for bike lanes and pedestrian-only zones and the beautification of Minneapolis, think about how much the word gentrification goes into your conversations. How much is there without you saying it? How much is gentrification in your conversation without you saying it? You were the ones that celebrated Minneapolis parks being recognized nationally. And they're the same people that are saying unhoused folks shouldn't be in the parks. So who are the parks for? Who is this city for? Who are we criminalizing? Who are we pointing the gun at? Who are we funding to point the gun at the people that are being criminalized? It's going backwards. City council is going backwards. The governor is going backwards. The mayor is going backwards. These people are not here for us. They're not here for the community. And when you roll up on Madema and you got an indigenous man sitting in a tent and you got a white officer telling him to get the hell out of there, that is your city. You have white officers evicting indigenous people off of a lake called Madema. Think about that. How is that happening? Who is funding that? City council and Mayor Fry. And then they want to show up and have a press conference talking about lofts that are going to be given over to the people. We're done with that. So today we're making our demands. We're going to make a special route. We're going to meet over at that corner. Wes is going to roll around, and then we're going to start marching south. And just make sure that you stick with us. If you need water, Gatorade, or granola bars, they are in that black truck. And just stay behind the truck. It's a special place. Please stay away from the house. Stay away from the house. We're trying to speak to this person, not attack him. This is Al Bangora's house. Al Bangora is the head of the Minneapolis Park Board. Al has unilateral power to end evictions right now, to end encampment evictions right now. Al can do that. And what we're here to do, because there's been so many encampments that have been rolled up upon, so many vulnerable folks that have been turned away by the city due to exigent circumstances. Their own livelihood has been violated, it's been humiliated, it's been publicly dragged out. Al can put up with a little bit of it today. Al can stand for a little bit of it today. And this is not a threat to anybody. These park police that roll up, that come in from second and third ring suburbs, we can pull up there too, like we did Hugo for Bob Kroll. We can do that as well.
Yeah,
we can pull you there too. The way that this city has treated the unhoused community is absolutely abysmal. It is absolutely deplorable. And we're here today to say no more. No more of this. If you have tens of millions of dollars to call in the National Guard because nobody trusts your police department, you got tens of millions of dollars to start building affordable housing for these people right now. The excuses are done. The bullshit is absolutely done. You've shown your hand, and now we see it. A lot of white folks didn't show up until they saw George Floyd get murdered on film. A lot of folks didn't show up to unhoused communities and start helping until they saw the wall. For me, as a son of Minneapolis, growing up in Riverside Plaza, you saw it every day. You saw the hopelessness in people. You saw the void in their soul. And as kids, when we go to the shelter for field trips, the one thing they asked us to do, instead of serving the food, was to look them in their eye and say hi. Because nobody does that. These people have been dehumanized. They've been dismissed. They've been criminalized. Their sheer presence, we have made it illegal to turn somebody away that can do things to your head. And working with children, in my profession as a paraprofessional, with students that are homeless and highly immobile, and they come to school, there's not a lot of space in your head to get work done. There's not a lot of time, not a lot of thought put forward to, oh, let me get A's or B's. This city has the power and the community to solve this. This is not a high calculus problem. We have the power to change this. We have the power to change it. And what we're here to do today is to talk about some solutions. I wear two hats when I do this. My background is in doing intervention-based, moderated forum. So we pull up to college campuses and hold forum about sexual assault, substance abuse, racism, sexism, and transphobia. And then people got to deal with the conversation, because they should. You should be having those conversations. You should be talking about how to solve things in your community. And today what we're going to talk about is the brutalization, the dehumanization, and the brutalization and dehumanization of unhoused folks, and then the abject failure of our leadership and what we can do as a community going forward. So Deshaun has this mic and also has wipes. So I'm gonna put on forum leader hat here now. You can take a seat if you like. We don't have to stand the whole time. I'm curious. Let's just start off. Raise your hand and tell me, how do you feel about this city's leadership so far in dealing with the unhoused community and dealing with affordable housing? Tell us what you know and how you feel about it. Just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. You gotta raise your hand. Go ahead. Sean's quick.
Sorry, I won't take up too much time because...
Take all the time you need.
I've spent the last 2 years in northern Iraq working with displaced IDPs and refugees. And in a country whose budget is just minute compared to what America has, probably even minute compared to what Minnesota has, they were treated with so much more humanity and dignity there. When they first showed up, they emptied out school buildings, they emptied out hotels, they found everything they could to take care of displaced peoples. But here in Minneapolis, what do? We drive up with bulldozers and we destroy their things and push them away. And we're supposed to be an example of what a humanitarian nation looks like, but instead we just ship money abroad and do that as an image, but at home we torture these people and treat them like dictators treat people in other countries. It's really disgusting, and I think that this should be a wake-up call for all the Minneapolis leadership as well as the people to realize that what we are doing here to our own people is absolutely unacceptable and it needs to change.
Okay. Anybody else? Raise your hand. Right here.
Howdy, I'm Tasayo. I would like to talk about what happens after we have these conversations. Direct action and the true call for it. There is no time to police our own marches, and this is a critique on the movement so far in general, is that when we go to these places and we're yelling fuck 12, burn it down, our passion is on the same wavelength as yours, and to police someone's emotional state on that is a fucking joke. We're all gonna get mad, we're all gonna get loud. Have you talked with the homeless communities here? When we say we shoot back, they mean that. They're at the point of no turning back. And in this society, that's what must happen. Our opposition only knows violence. That's the only thing they recognize. That's what we're based on. What they're doing in these homeless camps is the same practice of colonization when they first landed here. And if we talk about affordable housing, then you must be talking about free, public-owned housing, abolishing private in the whole entirety. I'm not here for defunding police either. In the first week, we defunded the police 3%, and they made that state news. What the police department did was strip funding for their mental health organizations, strip funding from their rape testing kits. They don't fucking care. You need to abolish it in every single degree. Shame your politicians. Attack their grunt work. Those who normalize the world that we live in. You have to attack them on every single front. There's no time in between that. When we do these rallies and we have police just down the street, or we have people saying, don't touch the precinct, all you're doing is making those who have this anger at the same thing we have at the colonial society, you make them a target. You ostracize them. What we should do is stand together. Have you ever heard of the Black Bloc? Is that what I do, you do. That's what it means, is I got your back. We don't want white allies. We want white accomplices. So, I mean, keep doing this, but go a step further, put pressure on them, surround this fucking building, yell at them, vandalize it, do whatever the fuck you want in the name of liberation. Because I got your back. I got your back. I got your back. And so I'd like to end this the same way I ended with a lot of my comrades, the Sada Shakur quote. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
There is nothing to lose but our chains.
There is nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty. Miguel.
How's it going, everybody?
Hello.
My name is Miguel. I'm with Bikers Riding Against Police Brutality.
And what's been your experience with the Roundhouse community and how you feel about the city's leadership and their treatment of them?
Well, just to go back on what people were saying, you should say feelings. Each and every single person has some privilege over the homeless, over black bodies, people of color. If it's monetary, it's monetary. If you have a home, it's a home. I take my privilege and my feelings and put it to work. I put it to work wherever I can, wherever I hold 1 ounce of privilege over somebody. I say, you know what? You have privilege, what are you gonna do? So when people say, what am I gonna do? I started with my work, a homeless food supply drive where we supply warm meals. We've done over 300 in just 2 times. So when people tell me, what are you gonna do? What's the solution? Do something.
Was it hard to come to that decision, knowing that you had that kitchen? No? Okay.
No. I joined BRAP right away because I knew we needed to support the black community, people of color, in any way we could. We just ride our motorcycles and block streets. That's all. That's as simple as it can be. You can do anything. So when people come up to see what's the solution, do something. Stop going home to your comfort.
And then for feeding people, was that a hard decision at all with the kitchen that you have and knowing that it would be intensive labor? Like, how did you come to that solution?
I think if the restaurant where I work at can make thousands of dollars feeding people and turning tables over, especially still during COVID, if we can do that, we can feed homeless. Every restaurant should be doing that.
Yeah.
We should hold all restaurants accountable.
Exactly.
We have the power to do it.
The kitchens are there, yeah. And I want to go back to that later on. We'll take one more person just on, Tom.
So I just moved here from an area that's so small, there isn't even any, there isn't really any government involvement with houselessness. So the churches in the town where I'm from, they kind of run the shelter, and it rotates between the places, and then each church has volunteers and stuff. So I'd like to see, and call out specifically all the local churches here who are doing nothing about this, and all these people that think they can pray their problems away, pray other people's problems away, give their weekly donations to their buildings. And another example, when Notre Dame burned down, this building that likely had liability insurance, there was over $1 billion in donations for repairs in the first day. So the money is obviously there, it's in the people's hands, they're willing to donate it, but it's pretty clear that most of the people with the money are not willing to donate to the right things. And then the last thing I want to say is when the park police come and do these raids, try to kick people out, they arrest people that are trying to prevent the cops from, kicking people out of these places. So if there are any people that are able and willing to be arrested, you can get in these groups to show up when the park police come and be present and try to be a body between the police and the unhoused people. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. And so there are definitely people that know how to get involved with that kind of stuff. So if you're able and willing to be arrested for this, ask around and we'll get you hooked up.
Okay, thank you. So the general consensus has been, you don't want to point it towards our speakers. The general consensus has been disappointment. Some people feel that civic engagement needs to be different with however they want to engage with it, whether it's holding forum conversations, vandalizing, riots, whatever that means to somebody. We're not judging that. So it sounds like there's a gradient response to it, and then also the solution seems to be a counterpunch that is inserted in the conversations. Well, why don't you fix it like this? So with that conversation going forward, we're going to just lay out a few things that we do know. So what has happened is the park police and the police and the state troopers have been activated to displace, cut down tents, put folks into transportation and bust them off to a different park. Then for that park just to get evicted again. The park board has given permits to the unhoused community to stay at said place for 2 weeks. And in that permit, they're held liable for any damage that happens to the park. So you have your city's leadership holding unhoused folks liable for park damage. That's what we do know. What we also know is that Al Bangora, the word is that by October 1st, all parks are going to be cleared out. I go back to this idea of what I knew was many white folks that celebrated the Minneapolis parks being nationally ranked. I go back to that to ask, whose parks are they for? Whose parks are they for? And are they beautiful for who? Beautiful for who? For people with money? Or are they beautiful for people that don't have a roof? So going forward, if the parks are to be evicted by October 1st, what would you want Al to do going forward? Push that date back? Make these permanent encampments? What would you want the park board to do? Because it doesn't seem like Al has taken a lot of questions, if any at all. What would you want Al to do? Resign? Okay, that's an option, yeah. One second. I got cars starting up here and you're way back there. Wait for the mic, it's coming to you,
We know they had.
So yeah, speak it up, say it out.
We know that they had $3 million to lease a new third precinct for the police. Why can't they lease some fucking buildings for these unhoused folks?
Tell that. That sounds like a great solution. What else? Somebody over there, Deshaun. Right there behind that tree, maroon shirt.
One thing I've noticed is the officials around here are really interested in protecting certain assets. Like wage theft accounts for 70% of all theft, and it is not considered a criminal offense in the United States, in any state, including Minnesota. So who are they protecting? Who are you protecting? Why is it that you have all this money to protect property and you aren't going to protect the people who are actually inhabiting that property?
Exactly. We'll take two more. What can Al do? Yeah, Dolphin, right here.
Thank you. I agree completely with the building thing. This is more a word of caution to the solutions they are going to provide. Because we had a conversation, I don't remember her name, what was that? Andrea Jenkins. We had a conversation with them when they were there for the groundbreaking ceremony you already mentioned, for the apartments. They said, oh, we have shelter beds, we have affordable housing, that kind of thing. Ask someone who's actually homeless how they feel about staying in a shelter. Ask someone who's actually homeless how available that housing is. Because the answer is not at all. You can't just push them for solutions and just accept them on face value that the solutions they give are going to be good enough. I heard a statistic that all the affordable housing built in 2018, 2019 is 1/3 full right now. 2/3 of it are empty, and it's not getting filled. Because, like, I was talking to somebody at our camp who was like, I remember one of the requirements for a certain affordable housing group, I think it was State Stevens, was that you have to be sleeping outside for 3 years straight. If you have one day where you slept on someone's couch or in a hotel, you are ineligible. Just because they provide those solutions does not mean they're making them accessible to anyone. Remember that.
And Dolphin, I want to ask you real quick. Do you believe, because what it sounds like what you're saying is that the solutions that what they believe is a solution is not in fact a solution for said people that they're trying to help. What would need to happen? Would we need to vote in somebody new for head of park board? Would we need to, basically gut city council? What does that mean?
I don't exactly have a solution. All I know is we've tried voting in somebody new for 300 years. We're still here.
Okay. You want to give us a solution? So, I did speak to a Hennepin County staffer, and they said there's an amount of shelters that are still open. There's beds. However, they also said a lot of folks don't trust the shelters. And they said that's a big issue, is the trust. And when we think about the word trust and the word accountability, in my experience, accountability has really not been present at all with the leadership, and so the trust is not there. And if you were on Nicollet and 8th a week and a half ago, you could feel the trust was definitely not there, and it was not going to be there anytime soon. So yeah, do you want to speak to solutions that we can do here in Hennepin County and Minneapolis?
For sure. I just wanted a few minutes to speak because I've worked with the counties. I've worked with Hennepin, I've worked with Anoka Ramsey County as a case manager, as a housing specialist, and that's why I'm here today.
You hold the mic a little closer.
I've worked with housing and case management with Anoka and Hennepin, that's why I'm here today, to speak up on ways we can move forward. I left the field because of this frustration, this cycle, right, of what you had said, of there should be housing available, shelters available, but we can't get in. That's a mess. Why are they available if we can't get in, right? Okay, right. So a few good ways, in my opinion, not that I know everything, but I'm gonna take advantage of speaking up from what I've learned working with counties, is simply this. One, they don't have a lot of help with people in the housing area specifically. If we're talking about Hennepin and Anoka Ramsey counties let alone the Twin Cities. So what that means is we all got to try to help out and get in those fields so we can speak up, right? I was the only one able to speak up in both counties.
How would we get into those fields?
Good question. They recommend a 4-year degree. I guarantee a fair amount of people here have a 4-year degree. If not a 2-year degree, it's worth the time and investment because, just a few examples, I was able to work with Anoka County top dogs, okay? The people making the laws about housing, the people making the laws about what we're gonna do to move forward. And they wanted to listen to my perspective because I brought in a different perspective saying, hey, this is a mess. With shelters, facts, they should not be paying $250, $300 a week to stay in a shelter. $250, $300 a week for a month, each week is rent, right? For an apartment or a townhome.
They were making the people pay that money?
Correct, and in Hennepin County.
What?
A lot of our shelters are taken through Social Security. Through Social Security, that's back pay, right?
Okay.
Per kid, we talk about Mary's Place. Mary's Place downtown. How many people know Mary's Place? Right. They're paying extra. They're making the moms pay extra per kid. Hundreds of dollars per week, per 2 weeks, per month. That adds up to, because I was a case manager, I told my families it's better just to get yourself an apartment and spend the same amount of money to have your own place, right?
So it comes back to what Dolphin said, the solutions that the county is providing clearly are not solutions for the people. How do we change the solutions that
Correct.
the county is providing to be solutions for the
Correct.
people?
This is an ongoing cycle, right?
So how do we make how do we hold the county accountable
Correct.
and make them give actual long-term solutions?
Getting more of us into those meetings, getting the 2-year degree, the 4-year degree, being in those county meetings where they make those decisions, saying, we need to bring a different perspective. I've been homeless, I've had family or friends who have been homeless. Let me tell you how unrealistic it is to pay $600, $700, $800 a month when this is supposed to be a shelter. That's unrealistic. So that means anyone in power in your roles with the money, making effective laws change, you need to make it more affordable or no money at all because there's money available to help so that people can actually get themselves set in a place to live with their kids, comfortable, and able to pursue their dreams and what they need to do moving forward. And the last thing I want to say is, I think Mary's Place, just going to throw it out there, I think they do a great job of setting families up for success moving forward. They'll help people with giving them additional funding with money. They'll give them $200, $300 extra when they leave. They'll help them get an apartment, and they'll help them get them a job. But the reason why I spoke up is merely to say, if we can get into those positions, meaning 2 or 4-year degrees, where we can talk to these people making these laws and policies, I realize they'll listen. They will listen to a person of color or someone who's been living that homeless life. They'll listen, but they don't have many to speak up. I was the only one speaking up. That's all I wanted to point out. So I know we can do it.
Thank you. And that's something I wanted. Somebody said bring the power back to the people. And what this person was saying they a lot. Will you raise your hand for the mic? There you go. Yeah, go. Go ahead.
To say that you need a 2-year degree is bullshit. Because most people of color will not make it past their high school diplomas. Most people of color will not make it out of their neighborhoods because of the way the system is set up to keep them in those neighborhoods and in poverty. So to say that it requires a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, I went to college for 3 years, still didn't graduate, ain't got no fucking degree. I'm 30 years old. I fucking canvassed for every other fucking politician in this goddamn city. And everybody made a promise they were gonna go back in the city like the North Side, like St. Paul East and West, like Cedar Riverside, like Little Earth, and put back into those communities that need it. Where the fuck did they go? To the South Side, to Beltrami, to Whittier. They made all these cute little fucking park benches and shit. What the fuck did they put back in the communities of color? Not a goddamn thing. I've been canvassing for a long ass time. It don't take no fucking 2-year degree.
So my question to you is, hold on. So some of the language that we heard was, hey, if we get a 2 or 4-year degree, then they'll listen to us.
That's coming from a place of privilege. It's coming from a straight up place of privilege. Because I know too many people who are not available to go to college because of their family circumstances. They've got kids to take care of. They got siblings. They've got parents, and they can't take the time out to go to an online degree, even that.
So when we talk about language, they will listen to us. How do we change the they? How do we get
Give
that out
the
of
power back to the people. We don't need a city commissioner. We don't need no council member. We don't need nobody to tell us how to allocate our funds for our neighborhoods. Just give us the fucking funds and let us do what the fuck we do.
Are you gonna run for anything in city council anytime soon?
Goddamn no, because I fucking hate politics. But I will be in my fucking neighborhood, allowing them to organize when they need to organize, and giving them support they need when they fucking say, this is what we want to do in our community. We want to build a community garden. We want to build a food show. We want to give more money to our schools. I'm gonna be backing them 100%.
Okay, so I just last question I have for you, because this is gonna segue right into what we're talking about right now. So we talk about solutions that the authorities can provide, and obviously they've been a failure. We have the mayor showing up to PV Park, not answering any questions to TC encampment responder or anybody that had any questions, and they just did a kind of fanfare to say that, hey, we're gonna build lofts, and it seemed similar to the same Kumbaya song and dance that they did at Powderhorn when they said they were gonna defund the police. So clearly the leadership is not doing the work or the job that they're getting paid for by us. So we come down to us, and you just provided some solutions. What do you want the community to do to support these unhoused communities, seeing that the work has fallen upon our shoulders? Sadly, unfortunately, it seems that the work has fallen upon our shoulders. What can we as a community do going forward, knowing that the leadership has been an abject failure?
Well, which communities are you talking about specifically? Because the POCO communities, we've been doing for ourselves, we've been building for ourselves, we've been taking our own money, fundraising, crowdsourcing throughout our own communities to build up these things that we need, the infrastructures that we need. What communities are you talking about?
I'm talking about the communities that are more privileged. We did a forum over at Levin Park a little bit ago, and even the sentiment right off the back was, we were really upset about you guys coming in here, but you did a great job. You're more than welcome next time. And it comes back to that all are welcome here statement by the white women that made those signs. The idea is that we own this place, we have these parks, we have this land, this is ours, you're welcome here. I'm asking you, what would you want these affluent white communities that send their kids to boroughs and then complain about the East African kids that are in the classroom over at Barton? And they want to say that they vote blue and that they're liberal and that they're for Bernie and that they have all our welcome signs on the front lawn, yet they will clutch their purse when they see a black person walking by. What would you say to those communities, and how could they help black communities?
Give their land back to the native indigenous people that it's owned by. Give the land back. If you want to live there, you ask. If you want to have house there, you ask. If you want to hold space there, you ask. Because at the end of the day, we are all on stolen land. And I was stolen here, so I don't owe shit.
Fair enough. I'm going to go back to that question still. What can the community do to support this community? Because clearly the leadership has not worked out. And I'm assuming 2021 is a big election year for City Council and for Mayor Fry, who most likely won't be coming back. So, well, I mean, this is the thing with white privilege, power, and rank. We can get to the homie right there in a little bit. White privilege, power, and rank is that, like, Tim Pawlenty could pivot out of politics, go to doing hedge funds in New York, and make millions of dollars. That's just an option. So I would see that for Mayor Fry down the line. But what as a community can we do, regardless of the leadership that's in place? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Alvin. Nice to see everybody here. To touch on kind of that question and the questions from earlier. First of all, if someone shows you who they are constantly, believe them. We need new leaders. There's no point in trying to convince the people that live in that house to see all the trauma that is being inflicted on everybody out there. If they haven't seen it up until this point, they're probably inoculated not to. And then before I go on, I want to acknowledge my sort of identity and my upbringing for a moment. Looking at me, yes, I lived the BIPOC experience. I'm East Asian. So yes, I have experienced racism. However, I am also someone of East Asian descent in a country that heavily rewards people of East Asian descent for being blind to the intersectionality that is, yeah, I've grown up in white neighborhoods, in suburbs, in places like Chaska, prior like my life. And granted, my parents, yes, they needed to work really hard and get into debt and etc. to keep me in those communities so I could have the good education and the good connections. But when I'm here, I can be a victim of oppression in the suburbs, but here, based on my class and upbringing and whatnot, I can be an oppressor. And so what I'm trying to do is, when we go into these conversations, I feel like we need to change our discourse. We need to acknowledge where you're coming from first, because that will acknowledge that you do have blind spots, no matter who you are, and your levels of privilege. And so when we're here on native land, originally native land, in front of a house of a community, whether that's the homeless community or not, that we don't know, we have to acknowledge where we're coming from first before we say, hey, you can't say this, you can't say that. And then also I want to say we cannot remove race from this homelessness issue, because over 40% of the homeless people in Minnesota are Black or African American descent or Native descent.
And how does that make you feel that the part of like, I think it's like 10 or 19% of Minneapolis is Black?
Right, but that gets reinforced, right? And if you grow up in a white ethnocentric suburb and you see that reinforcement your entire life, you're not going to pay any heed to it, because where you're living, there has been no suggestion that anything has been taken away from your, or any value has been taken away from your life by not seeing this. And so my main thing is I don't have the answer to this, because I am not someone who has studied politics or economic reform.
Do you need to study politics or economic reform to have a solution?
No, but as a community, we need to set up a culture that deals with these issues, whether or not we're actually specifically dealing with homelessness, or we're talking about the cultural, societal influences that contribute to how we view homelessness and what we don't do about it.
Absolutely.
And so I want to just quickly touch, because we started off here with a bit of a terse interaction. Jeff, can I, if I can speak to you for a moment? You said, basically, what you have said has been heard by a lot of people of color many times. It's the, I understand, but not all white people are racist. Okay. I know, but understand that people who grow up heavily marginalized,
it's okay, just keep talking.
People who grew up heavily marginalized, including the homeless community, have seen people look like you reinforce these messages to them constantly over and over and over. And so if the worry is that you feel like you can't be trusted, change your framework a little bit. Try to change the way you go about it. The question shouldn't be I'm not a racist, or like I should prove I'm not a racist. It's I was born as a cisgender white male. How am I complicit in the system, and what can I do to fix it?
Thank you. We'll get back to the homie over there, and I do want to point out, and we're gonna get to, we're gonna get back to Jeff in the first person's comments, because we'll pivot after this. The idea is that some of the way that Jeff framed what they said was, white people have opinions too, and they matter. And what I immediately thought was, well, no shit. I mean, they've mattered forever, and they've mattered the most, more than anybody else's. So the idea is that, and I had some pushback from the last forum from a dear family friend that has been in the movement for a long time, and said, hey, speaking about white privilege separates us. And I personally feel that in speaking to about unhoused issues, it is paramount to point out white privilege, power, and rank. I don't think you can remove it from it. Now, usually in these forums, a lot of white folks will feel uncomfortable, they'll feel personally attacked, and this is, again, from doing this for 16, 17 years. I'm no stranger to that feeling and that pushback. When you feel personally attacked, when you feel uncomfortable, the one thing that I'll say, and that my therapist and I talk about a lot, is just sit with it. Like, really sit with it, and really navigate why you feel the right to be angry about that. Really sit with that. Because that is most likely, that discomfort, feeling personally attacked and condemned, is probably the way that unhoused people feel every fucking day. Every day. And it's not a judgment. It's not meritocratic. Like, that's not what we're going for. It's really to assess how you physically feel having these conversations. And that will hopefully get you to a place of understanding your body in a white space, in a white state, and then what your accountability is in those spaces and the power that you have that may have been unbeknownst to you before. So again, before we get on to the next question and wrap up soon here, what can the community do? Because I know that a lot of white folks have put their bodies into PV Park and whatnot, and I go back to what a gentleman said who's a marshal. He said, white folks, we need you to be a shield, not a sword. And it does feel like at some point the shield needs to be larger. But if you can speak to that and what can we do as a community going forward, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you're asking what folks can do. Because you don't need a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree necessarily. I do appreciate the dual power. We need to work to fight within the city council and within those systems of power. But at the same time, I see a lot of folks here I've seen down at PV Park. And if you want to get involved, you can go to parks and stop them from evicting people. They do not like having encampments in their beautiful parks. As long as there are unhoused folks there, the pressure is on. As long as these folks are in view, the pressure is on. We need to stop them pushing people around and keep on the pressure.
And then I want to just quick touch on what you said. As long as unhoused communities are in view, what does that mean for people in power? Is that emblematic of their failure, or what do you feel that is?
It's emblematic of their failure, and we know that all the liberals around the park are calling and saying, "Oh, my kids don't feel safe here. They can't go play on the playground." Now, mind you, at PV, there's a contingent of mothers and parents that think their kids won't be safe there. That said, every night there are kids from every culture and background from the neighborhood playing on that playground. So we need to take our communities back for everyone, not just the white liberals.
Okay. So going towards that, and just going into the last chapter of this conversation, is what should our reaction be? What we've had from Al Bangor is he put out a report, said everything that was a comment or a report from each encampment. And what we saw in the report that he made was terroristic threats popped up at least half a dozen, if not a dozen times. And it seems like there's an amplified language in the way that they're reporting unhoused folks. When we saw Jacob Blake get shot 7 times in the back, we saw the language was very mild. We didn't find out that he was handcuffed to his bed until a few days later on a CBS report. When the officer in downtown Minneapolis a week and a half ago got hit in the head with a garbage can lid, we then saw language that said he has spinal problems, he was knocked unconscious, we don't know how if he can get back to work soon. It was, again, the language told the story. The narrative was controlled. So we're getting a narrative that it sounds a little bit backwards, that we're getting spin here. So my question is, what has your experience been in encampments, for those of you that have been in encampments, and for those of you that possibly may be unhoused, that I'm not putting any pressure for you to talk, but like, what are you actually seeing boots on the ground when you're there? And what do you feel the best response is going forward? Because when winter comes, people are gonna die. That's the end game. People are gonna die. They're not gonna be here. And the city is signing off tacitly on that. This is a tax-paid attempted murder. These people will die. And it happens every year. We don't say anything about it. Because it seems a lot of community members don't say anything about them anyways in the summer. But the action is now. There's no turning away. They're there. They're in view. And even if they're not in view, there still should be action. So my question is to folks that have been boots on the ground, what have you seen, and what is the action you believe that should be going forward? Dolphin? Or you can speak right now that you have the mic and just give it to Dolphin. Yeah.
I'll let Dolphin take it over. He knows what's going on.
Okay.
Alright, so I've been on the ground at PV for 3 weeks straight now, pretty much 24/7 with the same solid crew pretty much the whole time. First of all, we could use more people, always welcome. We're a little bit tired. Yeah. Before I get into the question, I want to expand on something you said a little bit earlier about the narrative. A brick going through a Starbucks window, to them, that's violence. 10 million dead Palestinian, Iraqi, Iranian people around the world, that's just the way things work. One cop station getting burned down, that's violence, that's awful, we can't have that. Hundreds of thousands of millions of lives starved because of our exploitation and our imperialism and our colonialism around the world, that's not violence to them. That's just the way things work. They frame what violence is, but I saw a quote the other day that really spoke to me. There is no amount of violence that can be done through rebellion that will ever compare to what imperialism and colonialism has brought around the world. We could burn every city in this country down, and it would be nothing compared to the cities we have bombed around the world. So remember that. Good to know. Good to know. And then back to the original question, logistically, what defending these camps looks like on the ground is 24/7 bodies on the ground, watching out for cops, watching out for when they evict. The residents at PV Park, they're ready to stand right along with us. They're one of the few parks that is requested 24/7 eviction defense. It requires bodies on the ground when cops show up, ready to put themselves, lock arms in between the cops and the tents. It requires, some people are going to want to move when bulldozers show up. It requires people to be there to help those people transport so that they don't lose all their belongings. It requires so many different roles, but it requires a lot of us. Because when they come into a camp, they come in with a lot of heat, and we have to be able to fight that. And we need everybody here, when the time comes, when you hear a call that a camp's about to get evicted, show up there and be ready to put your body on the line so that these people don't lose everything again. For some of them, what's going to be the third or fourth time in as many months.
And you have the flyers for that number that they can signal. Yep. I want to go back to what you said earlier and what the person said earlier as well off the bat, and then the Asada Shakur chant, in that the policing or judging or measuring somebody's reaction or emotional reaction to folks in power or imperialism, capitalism, racism, white supremacy, there's no judgment there. The idea, though, right here, is to hold a forum, to have conversation. And from my understanding is we can't do that if they think that we're of some violent threat after we leave, or when this is done, by all means, whatever you want to do. I'm not here to judge that. And this comes from a place near and dear to my heart, working with kids that you never judge their behavior. You just never do it. You just work with it. And so, but to hold this forum here, that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. But going forward, it is what it is. And it's also imperative to know, we talked about this yesterday at Loring Park, in not judging the way other people protest or the way people react. But if you're trying to hold a certain direction or lane and you want to get that accomplished, sometimes it's important to hold that lane, and then the other stuff can happen afterwards or outside of it, whatever it may be. It is what it is. But it's also important to know, and this is no threat to anybody, but it's also, as we elevate our work, they elevate their threat. And so they've been nabbing protesters as they stray back from marches. They're watching and probably listening right now with stingrays in the park. And so they'll pick out certain people, watch them for hours on end, and then pick them up. And they picked up somebody from a march, and I think they charged them with witchcraft. So that's the amount of bullshit that they're on. What the fuck? So that is the actual bullshit that they're on. And to understand, and just to put it into perspective right now, park police are notorious for showing up, destabilizing, dehumanizing, and brutalizing unhoused bodies or people protecting unhoused communities. While we're having this, 2 squad cars showed up to the encampment on the other side. and they attempted to push some of the tents. Then they said, oh, hey, we're here protecting you from the rally over there. I went to the encampment yesterday, unbeknownst to the park police, and I spoke with several of the people. I said, hey, this is gonna happen here. Do you want this to happen? They said, yeah, sure, go ahead. So with the blessings, we're here, because this is Al's house as well. And if they said don't come here, then I'm not gonna have this come here, because we should really be respectful of that. Although this is temporary housing, this is also their livelihood. There's dignity here. We have to respect that going forward. So that being said, spoke to these people. There's some type of face-to-face or trust or bond there, whatever it may be. Spoke to them and said, hey, can we do this here? And then the park police show up and switch the narrative and say, we're protecting you from them. That is the okie doke. That is the BS. That is the flipping of the narrative. Because if they can't kill you, if they can't kill your body, they'll try to assassinate your character. They'll try to assassinate the narrative. And they do that all the time in some of the language that we heard today. Some people probably felt threatened or felt that was violence brought upon them. And so that's something to be aware of as well. And going forward, it's important to understand the language that we use, and also the language that's being spoon-fed to us on the other side, as cops say that they're trying to protect the encampment from us. Yeah, go ahead.
Little crook.
The only way that was defended, though, why the tents weren't moved, was because defensive militant action, direct action, a form of what they would declare as violence, but is trauma and just retaliation. And you can't say you're not condemning while then continuing to condemn by saying, but you have to understand, there is no excuses when it comes to someone's emotional trauma and what they're doing with it. They're autonomous people, and if you invite the forum, then they will come, just like here. But those who want to do direct action, it's not their jobs to explain themselves. Because every other place in the world that has dealt with this, because this is a new type of revolution. Let's look into indigenous people in Canada. In the 90s, they became extremely militant. And that is because they are always at the direct face of oppression. Those people who see violence on the day by day, they only know to retaliate, and which is the proper retaliation, because they're the ones experiencing these things, is violence. Like I've said earlier, the homeless people said they will defend themselves with guns. Like farmers in every revolution, in Russia, they defended themselves with guns. Like, it's a hard reality to accept that violence is the answer. We don't say this with an open heart of we want to hurt anybody. We will try every single option and we have consistently. But the most change ever has come out of direct action and taking what's yours. You don't ask your master what you can have. You take, you demand, and there is no bending room for that. And later, of course, coming up to this election, the gray area will disappear more and more. We won't have room for fence sitters. There is no room. It is black and white. Fuck 12. Fuck 12.
So with that said, what I'm getting to is that there's nothing you have complete agency. You can do whatever you want to do. If I'm setting up this event and I say, hey, let's have a forum, then what I'm going to say is what I prefer. Anything within your what you want to do with your body, you can go ahead and do it.
Okay, right now there's a cop right there.
I understand.
And you keep on pushing the people away.
I'm not pushing anybody away from the cops. No.
Yes, you are. Then why are you defending yourself?
Then you can go over there right now. Go.
But you can stand with us, accomplices. I see you on your Instagram, bro. You posting all the time all these photos.
Absolutely.
You're not boots on the ground.
I'm here right now.
No, you slow us down when we say shit like burn it down.
Then go over there right now. Go. You got the mic. Tell the people to go.
More.
Tell the people to go. Go do it. You got it, Sassam. You're gonna stand up to a black man and act like he hasn't had this experience his whole damn life. You're gonna tell me that right now. You're gonna tell me that right now. You see my Instagram. Okay, then what do you want to do right now? What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? Take the mic. No, this is how it go. This is yours, man.
What the fuck?
Don't walk up to it, run. Let's go, champ. Come on.
right.
Let's go. Tell him what you want to do. Go.
Our main goal is to make this presence autonomous. We don't want any of their harassment. So I want people yelling, is fuck 12 right now in their fucking faces. I want them to be uncomfortable, because I'm not comfortable with them here. I feel in danger. I know a lot of indigenous and black and Asian and any oppressed group that is consistently harassed. Even the homeless we claim that we're defending get harassed by them every day. Why should they feel comfortable while we're sitting here in fear?
Right.
So fuck 12.
But fuck 12 definitely. But here's the thing. This is not the time to just go attack that cop. We are not organized, like, we don't have shields right now.
Can
like,
you tell us why not? Why not?
No, I'm all for, like, fuck 12, fuck the system, fuck capitalism, like everything you've been saying I've been agreeing with, but it's smart to work when we have more supplies, and I think that moment's coming. I'm actually super fucking scared about the November election. It's been fucking tense in Minneapolis. When and if, like, Trump's reelected, or even if we get Biden, you know, it's not much different. I think we do need to, like, completely turn the system around.
Okay, but as a community right now, like, we seem to have a disparity between what action should be taken, what action is being taken.
Yeah.
So what is the action you believe should be taken?
Organized revolution.
Okay. And what does organized revolution look like?
Well, actually, I'm really happy you guys are reaching out on Signal, because I've been trying to form a small group of people already to start stockpiling supplies, building shields, getting together oil paint balloons.
And this is through the Signal, the thing that Dolphin handed out.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that it's getting more attention, because I think there needs to be more direction for people that aren't able to come out, like, every single protest. You know, like, if I want to be at the park. I want to fucking be there and protect it every single second of the day. But I am a full-time veterinary technician, and I have, like, 4 animals at home. Like, I can't just leave them there in fear when all this shit's going on. I can't. But there is a way that all of us can do something to put, like, get us all together, start stockpiling supplies, like, have a collective plan. Because shit's gonna get serious. Like, this election is gonna happen. If Trump's reelected, civil war is gonna break out.
Well, you already have that already breaking out right now. I mean, the election's gonna be won. The trial's going up in March. I think a thing that could benefit the community would be going to the George Floyd Square meetings at 8 a.m. or 7 p.m. every day. They do them every day.
Yep.
And they fill you in on the action plans that need to happen. Also, March, the trial happens then. If all 4 don't get charged and convicted, probably going to have a lot of burning in the streets.
Yeah.
Then we're also going to see what happens with Jacob Blake, and then Kyle Rittenhouse down the line. And so each one of those is going to ignite something. Mm-hmm. But it's also, as a black man, I just can tell you right now, it's not going to stop.
No, it's not.
And there's no going back.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Understood. Deshaun, do you want to hand the mic off to somebody else? We got to get moving a little bit here. Yeah.
My name is Muhammad Ali. I'm not going to be speaking, but I got 2 residents over there from that camp who are going to be speaking about their experience. So I'm going to introduce Laura and Mary.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Thanks for coming out, supporting us with these fake ass pigs. Nigga, like y'all said, fuck 12. But anyways, you know, I'm finna pass the mic to sis. She wanted to talk.
How's your experience been? How's your experience been with the park police? Because what they told
they ass. Like, they just harassment, all that old extra ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers fucked up sleeping in a tent. Bitch, go about your way. You feel me?
Exactly.
Like, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm trying to fight a case right now. I got a felony against one of they bitch ass. You know what I'm saying? Just had got my case on February 17th. So, you know, the kids finna go back to the joint. But I'm gonna stand 10 toes down in this shit.
All right.
Because, hey,
All right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, my guy who stays over in PV just got picked up as well. They had doxed him from the start. He was delivering items and supplies around to different encampments. They found him sleeping in his car, picked him up, went to jail, bopped around from Hennepin County to St. Louis County, got out, and they're just keeping him in the system. They just keep him rotating, even though he's doing more work than the park police. Yeah.
They need to blow all their ass up. Where did that If I was losing niggas was all doing that shit, then I would have been with it. But
Yeah.
I was at home sleep.
I hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, say it. Hey, sis, you got this. Just act like nobody's here. Just go.
Okay, so I've been in this camp probably over a month. And my experience with this camp, it's really teach me structure. Especially behind here, we vote for people to come in or vote out. Right now we're at almost our capacity. I've done a lot for that community. I'm one of the senior peers there. I've helped with donations with a family. My voice has been on Care 11 News, pictures taken. Other of our campers have their picture taken too. When I heard that they might be shutting us down October 1st, it's like, where's our campers gonna go? It's like a family to us.
How would you like this community to respond to that deadline coming up?
Don't let us, I don't want it shut down.
So you could probably use bodies here at Farmstead to protect.
Yep.
What else would you want?
Basically, I would let the protection for our camp from you guys.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
And don't judge us.
So that should be one second, because we really need to appreciate what was just said. That for you will probably mean something different for you than it was for me, but that with what they just said, that's where the work starts. And so as we march back, what you can do right now is you can actually speak to folks and just ask them what they need. The way that I got started in this work was there was a lot of chaos at Powderhorn, whether it was bad or good. You can judge however you like. A lot of the people were unhappy. I met a good friend there, and a month and a half later, texted me when the storm came, and he said, "Hey, I need your help. They took everything. Everything got taken away." And I said, "What got taken away?" In my naive, ignorant mind. And it was the storm. So we need to do a one-day supply bank. So I rallied with some folks and we made Home Base. You go to Home Base Central on Instagram. There's Minneapolis Sanctuary, Logan Sanctuary. There's a lot of channels you can go to. You can hear the lists. But the idea is that you can go to those places and you can fulfill the list needs and show up. But you can also show up and just start talking to folks, because that's the whole thing. Any of us could be turned out like that in no time. And for my guy, when I was out of town about 2 weeks ago, I got word that the park police had doxed him and they arrested him. They had seen him providing supplies for encampments. We come back to the narrative. They had seen him supplying supplies for the encampments and helping out people and talking to people, and they arrested that man. That shows you where this city is at. That shows you where your leadership has gotten you. That shows you what city council is about. They are not about this work. They are not. And I'll take the judgment right here just by holding this mic. If you want to take it, by all means, take it. That's what these forums are for. This is what I've been doing for the past 17 years. So that little altercation you saw, that's not new to me. That happens all the time. And people feel a certain way, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not here to judge that. I'm here to get the conversation going, and then for y'all to hopefully keep the conversation going outside of here. This is the least I can do. This is the least we can do, and what we should be doing. When Rodney King got brutalized, Los Angeles created the Christopher Commission, where they vetted the entire fucking police department, top to bottom. Looked at all the cases from the past 10 or 20 years, and they had conversations with the community. Minneapolis has done none of it. They have not held a single conversation with the community. They haven't asked a single person, how do you feel? What do you want? What can I do for you on my time? Getting paid by your tax dollars. They haven't asked anything. They went to Powderhorn Park, sang Kumbaya, said we're gonna defund the police, and offered up lukewarm reform, and then blamed the Charter Commission for not being able to let us vote. The change that they're offering, like Dolphin said, the solutions that they're offering are not the solutions that we're asking for. So when you want to speak directly with somebody, you go to an encampment, you speak to that person face to face, and you shut the fuck up and you listen. That's where it starts. That's where the work starts. So for those of you that want to deal with those solutions, I say when people talk to you today, Teseo, and then the TC encampment responder, Home Base Central. Are there any other folks that have organizations that they would like people to reach out to before we wrap up?